Hey all, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you here again, or if you're visiting us for the first time, then it's great that you dropped by. And today I am taking a look at something that I didn't really plan to take a look at. I was requested to do it by Alex, and you know, what can I say? This one's for you, buddy. It is the Transformers Power of the Primes Prime Master Alpha Trion? Landmine? I'm going to say that he is perhaps best served as an incarnation of a Japanese character from the Super God Master Force series, Lander. Either way, we're going to take a look at this guy in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and of course, man, subscribe. It is beyond appreciated and it helps me more than you will ever know. And I wasn't particularly planning to pick up this Wave 2 Titan Master, but I'm sort of glad now that I did. I'm sort of glad that Alex asked me to take a look at him, because he's kind of cool. Now, don't get me wrong. Though on the package it says Alpha Trion and his decoy armor is Landmine, which is basically based on the pretender of the same name from the Generation 1 continuity, the fact of the matter is this will never serve as my version of Alpha Trion. Recently we had a visit from him in episode 400, if you haven't checked that out yet, where I took a look at the Covenant of Primus itself and I guess its author, Alpha Trion. And I feel like basically that Titan's Return Voyager is going to stand as my incarnation of that character. But what about as an incarnation of Landmine? Well, a lot of people don't know the character, and you know what? That's understandable, man. I totally get it. He didn't really appear in the program, so why would you? But his Japanese counterpart, Lander, did appear on Super God Master Force, and this guy is a great homage to that character, especially since when in the Pretender shell he basically is supposed to be the size of a human, and I can believe that this is, you know, scale wise about the size that a human would be. I dig the guy. So without further ado, let's head over to the table and take a closer look at him. And as promised, here we have, of course, the Transformers Power of the Primes Prime Master Landmine. And if you're not really familiar with the name or the character, hey, don't feel bad, because there's not a lot to be familiar with. As I recall, he was probably, or at least his inner robot version, was probably featured in the opening sequence, maybe, for what's considered to be Season 5 of the original program. Many years ago, he might have been in that sequence. I feel like that when Optimus was recounting one of the many Transformers tales to young Tommy Kennedy, at one point Landmine's name might have been mentioned, but overall, he was really more of a comics character. I even think Optimus at one point left Tommy Kennedy mid-story to, I don't know, go meet Landmine for something. I'm not sure. I don't know. I would have just left Tommy Kennedy behind anyway. But we're not really going to look at him as Landmine. No, because he is known by another name, a far more interesting one with much more fiction. That being the Pretender, the Autobot Pretender, Lander, as presented in the Super God Master Force Japanese portion of the G1 continuity. Wow, that was a mouthful. And overall, his personality is, an adventurer. He enjoys the finer things of life, a real ladies' man. He doesn't leave his decoy armor, his very durable decoy armor, or Pretender shell, if you will, very often, so it's all right that he's like this. Unlike the Decepticons who modeled themselves after large, like monsters and beasts, the Autobots modeled their Pretender shells after human beings. And we're really able to kind of shrink down the size of a human being. So like, I can kind of buy this as the right size when he's in his pretender shell. I'm cool with it. He is also the strongest of the pretenders apparently, though not the best with combat skills. I guess that's probably why Metal Hawk is the leader. Speaking of Metal Hawk, this version of Landmine is a retool of the Prime Master Metal Hawk, and we'll see that a little bit more shortly. The name on the package, however, isn't really Landmine, it's Alpha Trion, and because in the Power of the Primes line, all of these pretender shells are supposed to be decoy armor with powerful Prime Masters inside, I guess that's why he got kind of stuck with the name Alpha Trion. No, I'm never going to use him as that. Let's get him and the instructions out of the way, take a quick look at the packaging. And here we have the packaging. There's a nice picture up top of Landmine. Kind of stylized in coloring, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. It says Alpha Trion, you know, is his power. When we turn the package around, we have the product shots on back. We do see that the decoy armor is named Landmine up there. I'm going with Lander. It's Titan Master packaging. We do have a little set of instructions. I don't really think you need these for this guy because it's pretty simple and straightforward. And here, of course, we have Landmine inside of his decoy armor. We have Alpha Trion inside of the Landmine decoy armor. As said, this decoy armor is really a retool of this one. This is Metal Hawk, who holds Vector Prime. The arms are the same sculpting. The back half of the decoy armor is the same sculpting, as is the little blaster section. That's not connected in package. There's two little starts, you just put it on there. He can't take it off, hold it in his hand. I'll show that shortly. Really, the only thing that's different on them is the entire front part of the decoy armor. You have a different head, different chest, kind of, entirely different torso, which is fine. In my opinion, that's fine because it's enough to make them distinguishable. I'm cool with that. I am. So taking him out of it, of course, it has been said a couple of times now that Alpha Trion is the little Prime Master inside this guy. And that's not, yellow and gray is not Alpha Trion's colors. For me, Alpha Trion is going to be this rather nice and stately Voyager class figure, although he's not perfect either. A lot of people have a lot of problems with this Voyager class figure. And there are, of course, third-party options. I suppose you could go with that. But for me, I like this. I was cool with Alpha Trion. In fact, I looked at him in full and a bunch of potential fan mode, base modes that you could do with him way back in episode number 190, a long time ago. As a matter of fact, I showed 4 base modes for him. So he's going to be my Alpha Trion, but the little pretender guy, he definitely could serve as my Lander. And speaking of the little pretender dude, here we have him. I'm just going to take this piece off of his back, if I can. Which I should be able to, there you go. There's a little, I want to say 3mm peg right there. It could go in his hand if you wanted to. That's fine. We have a couple of little starts on this thing and a couple of little notches back right here, so you can, of course, take it and you should be able to fit that in here. It's a bit of a challenge to get in there, actually, or it is for me. There. So I have that in there. So let's talk about paint apps. What are his paint apps? Well, if you compare him to the original G1 figure, the little robot inside of this guy, which we will get to, is just yellow and gray. Really, that's missing red paint apps on the shoulders, the hips, and the feet. you could add, I suppose, yourself if you want to really try doing custom paintwork on a Titan Master or a Prime Master. The decoy armor itself is really fairly accurate. We could use a bit of red on the wrist and on the elbow. But outside of that, and I guess gray down on his like kind of feet section. Outside of that, it's pretty good. You're definitely going to know that it's Landmine. Now, that being said, if you actually are thinking in terms of animation accuracy, well, again, the robot inside is missing really the same sort of paint apps. In terms of the animation itself, again, we have the gray on the feet missing. But outside of that, it's really red on the hands, the elbow, and kind of just below the shoulder. I suppose you could add those red lines yourself if you wanted to. Besides that, it's really quite accurate. I'm going to say it's a solid 9 for the size that we're looking at. It's definitely Landmine, no doubt. Just out of interest's sake, though I showed him with Metal Hawk, or Vector Prime if you will, here he is also with the other Autobot that we currently have, being Cloudburst or Micronus. I think they look fine together. They look cool. They look cool, so we have a 9. Nice start for such a little figure. What about the articulation? Well, and the transformation. Well, we're going to kind of deal with both of those at once. The articulation is, the arms can go all the way around, no elbow, they can't go out, no knee, no waist, no anything. To do the transformation, well, he becomes a blaster, which is cool because he can be wielded by bigger figures. And if you want to do a repaint and make these guys into Target Masters, hey, you certainly could, but it's pretty simple. You just really take this and flip out the cannon on his back, flip down the little handle, and there you go. Now he's a blaster. Right here, you'll notice there's 2 pegs right there. That's what his feet go over when we take out the Prime Master. We'll do that and kind of see how he integrates. So, putting him back in his little robot mode there. In order to access the Titan Master, Prime Master that's inside, in this case Alpha Trion, we open the front, which shouldn't be too hard. I'm hoping it won't be too hard. Maybe it will be too hard. No, there you go. I just had to reach it. We bring that down. The little robot that's supposed to be Alpha Trion is inside. Just take him out. And we'll focus on the little robot and then see how it interacts with this guy. For now, we'll close up that and take him off to the side. Here's what is being called Alpha Trion. It's, you know, it's a fine Prime Master thing. You know, the head is on a ball joint. It can move around a bit. The arms can go out to the side a little bit like all these guys and go forward to, I guess I should show this too. He's pinned at the hip and the knee. You can get him in a seated position if you want. And of course, he folds over, and that's the symbol for Alpha Trion. Some people have said it's a face. That looks absolutely nothing like Alpha Trion's face to me. Outside of maybe over on the side right here and over right there, it kind of looks like his mustache a bit. But like, this is the closest color to Alpha Trion that we have. I mentioned 2 little pegs for his feet. On the bottom of his feet, you see there are 2 little slots. They will go on over the 2 little pegs. And really, in essence, that's Alpha Trion integrated as part of the blaster. It's fine, I guess. So taking him off from there, bringing this back, opening up the front of the decoy armor, we can just place the little robot back inside. Since Landmine or Lander doesn't really like to leave his decoy armor or pretender shell, we close that up, and there you go, he is back in his main robot mode. So the transformation is beyond simple. Anybody can figure it out. These are great for kids, certainly great for like a first transformer for a very little kid that has never experienced anything at all to do with Transformers. It's small for their hands. They can, you know, get something different. Truth is, this guy, his alt mode for the robot inside is supposed to be kind of like a tank. I suppose you could just lay him down and not bring the handle out and pretend he's a tank, you know, so that actually kind of works as far as these guys go. The transformation, I mean, it's not involved, it's not really interesting. It's a 2 or a 3. And the articulation is at best a 2 because he's pretty much a brick, kind of like he was in G1. So, he had a 10 and a couple of 2s. Overall, he's an average. He is your average Prime Master, Type Master. If you're into these little guys, then he's a good one to get, no doubt. If you're not, and you like things that are bigger and have more posability, then maybe skip them. I wasn't planning on getting him. I was asked to take a look at him, but the funny part is, now that I have Metal Hawk and my Cronus, or Cloudburst, and now Landmine, I kind of dig the size for being pretenders. I don't think I need big pretenders. These guys are supposed to be, you know, in these human shells anyway. So, like, I sort of dig it. In the case of Metal Hawk, I actually do have the deluxe class Metal Hawk from the Siege on Cybertron set. So, I'm happy with that. I'm cool with it, man. I'm cool with it, and I'm kind of cool with this little guy. Okay, so at the end of the day, this is basically a reuse of the Vector Prime or Metal Hawk decoy armor, pretender shell, whatever you want to call it. It's basically a reuse of that with a newly molded head and chest piece. And I think that that's enough to differentiate this guy. As I said, I like it for what it is. Is it perfect? No. Does it have the most articulation? No. Is it a fun little figure that you can just kind of flip back and forth very easily? Yeah, sure it is. I mean, I said you could put him down like this and pretend he's a tank. It's not the best, but hey, like, you could do it. Or, I guess if you really wanted, you could flip that around and turn him that way, and there's your tank. The fact is, these little Prime Masters, I mean, they're not the be-all, end-all of the main line, or any line for that matter. It's a niche little gimmick figure. However, it does have a place, and for me now, having him and Cloudburst with my Cronus, and Metal Hawk with Vector Prime, I kind of feel like I'm getting a little set of respectable pretenders. Would it be nice to have these guys in a bigger size? Maybe. That point might be arguable. Are you into the pretenders? Whatever these guys are, the little decoy armor things? Maybe you are, and if you are, hey man, that's cool. Let me know what you think about this guy. Maybe you're trying to collect all 12 of them. Good luck with that. Anyway, I want to thank you for dropping by, for giving me some of your very valuable time, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.